Hello guys, my name is Hitanshu Kapoor. I am your instructor. So today we talk about zone redundant, okay, load balancer. So we discussed already what is public load balancer, what is internal load balancer. But today we talk about zone redundant load balancer. What is zone redundant? Okay. So if I open my paint once, I need to discuss first. So if you see that we have three things. We already discussed about public load balancer, okay, and we already discussed about internal load balancer. Okay, so these two load balancers, you can say that we already discussed. Now the third one we can go for zone redundant. Okay, redundant load balancer, you can say that. How we can configure a public load balancer in zone redundant. Okay, now what is the meaning of zone? Okay, like imagine that, like if I take one explain with the help of diagram, so I can go for that. This is like imagine this is my Azure region. Okay, this is my Azure region. I'm using East US. Okay, imagine East US region. Okay, so now in every region you can say that. Okay, so you can say that I am using East US region, or you can say that I am using East US zone. Okay, so you can say that in this region, like imagine I'm using public load balancer. So like this is my public load balancer I'm using like this. Okay, so this is my public load balancer. This one is a public. This the public load balancer. Okay, this is my public, and this is the LB. Okay, this is my public load balancer, and in that I have three VMs over there like this: 1, 2, and 3. We have 3 VMs. So this is what we can do in public load balancer. I hope you already know this because we already discussed these things in my previous videos. Okay, so you can say that I have these three VMs. Okay, so with the help of public load balancer, we can divide the role to my multiple VMs. Okay, so if anyone want to access this VMs, so with the help of if anyone want to access this VM outside the East US zone, okay, or region, so with the help of internet, first request goes to public load balancer, and then public load balancer divide those requests to all those VMs. Okay, like imagine these are my web servers. Okay, imagine that these are my web servers. This is web server 1. Okay, and you can say that this web server 2. Okay, and this is my web server 3. Okay, so now right now what happens in that case? In that case we don't know, but like you can say that in that case imagine that in East US region Azure has 3 data centers. Okay, imagine in East US region Azure has how much data centers? 3 data centers they have. Okay, so by default every VM, you can say that every VM are put in the same data center right now. I'm not using the different data centers right now. Okay, but now I want that. Now in this scenario, I want to manage that. I want to put the VM in different data centers. Like imagine that in my Azure region we have 3 data centers, and all 3 VMs are put in first in only one data center right now. Okay, so like what happens in that case? In this case, like every region, or you can say that if you're talking about the Azure data centers, every region Azure has multiple data centers. Okay, like imagine if my one data center is down, so Azure has different multiple data centers, that if my one data center is down, so it automatically migrate my VM to second data center. If my second data center is down, so it automatically migrate to third data center like this. Okay, so now by default we are running like by default when you're going for any load balancer, so by default it saves all my virtual machines in one data center. Okay, but now in Azure redundant, I want that. What I want that, imagine that this is my you can say that this is my Azure region. Again, I have Azure East US region. Okay, and in that I can place one public load balancer. Okay, now this is my public load balancer, and in that we have again 3 VMs. Okay, I can see that the other 3 VMs like this, and like this. Okay, so now we have 3 VMs now. So this is my again public load balancer, which already know, we already use this public load balancer. Okay, this is my public load balancer, and these public load balancer connect with all my VMs. This is my VMs, you can say that. Now what is the changes in zone redundant, you can say that. What I do, imagine that this VM is you can say that this is the VM, you can say that this is my VM1, VM01. Okay, VM1. Okay, and this is my VM2, and this is my VM3. Okay, fine. Now what I do, instead of I place every VM in the same data center, imagine that this VM stays in data center 1, you can say that. Okay, this VM stays in data center 2. I put my VM1 in data center 1, I put my VM2 in data center 2. Okay, and I put my VM in data center 3. Imagine in East US region I have 3 data centers, so I put my VM in different data centers, and with the help of that, and now with the help of my public load balancer, I can implement load balancer all these 3 VMs which are available in different data centers. So what I do, with the help of zone redundant, what we can do, we can apply load balancer to that VMs which are available in different data centers. Understood? Okay, so we can use, you can say that we can use zone redundant for this purpose only. Okay, so now in that case, what happens? This data center in this in DC1, my VM1 is there. Okay, DC2 means data center 2 is in VM2 is in data center 2, and VM3 is in a data center 3, like this. Okay, fine. So now my VMs are situated in different data centers, but still I'm able to go for load balancer. Okay, with the help of zone redundant. Okay, so this is the thing, this is the way how your zone redundant work. Okay, I hope you're able to understand this. Okay, so this is the way. Okay, this is you can say that how your zone redundant work. So we have three types of you can say load balancer. Your public load balancer or your internal load balancer works on you can say that it works on same data centers. It's not works on different data centers. Okay, if you imagine that if your VMs situated in different data centers, in that case we can use zone redundant. Okay, zone redundant public load balancer. Okay, to like you can say it's a part of public load balancer, you can say that. So we can use zone redundant, okay, to balance the load in my different VMs which are situated in different data centers. Understood? Okay, so now for that, what we need, I tell you now what we need, what the requirements. Okay, so if I need, so what we need, or you can say that how we can implement this. So number one, we need resource group. We already know that everything we are going to create in the Azure, we need resource group. Okay, number second, we are going to create one load balancer. Okay, we are going to get public load balancer, but this time I can choose public load balancer. Okay, but this time I can choose with zone redundant. Okay, so this feature available in standard SKU. Okay, so like if I use zone redundant, so what I need to create a public load balancer in standard. So I'm using the standard SKU, not a basic one. I'm using the standard one because if I need this feature, so I need standard one. Okay, now number third, we need one VNet. Okay, I'm going to create you can say that 3 virtual machines. For this we need at least 3 virtual machines. Okay, remember these things. If you want to create zone redundant load balancer, so what we need at least minimum 3 virtual machines. Okay, and these 3 virtual machines working as a web server, which you already did. Okay, so these are my 3 web servers. Okay, fine. So these things, and one we need one NSG group also. NSG group. NSG group is known as, I already told you, NSG group is known as network security group. Network security group. Okay, so I need to make 2 rules. You can say that I need to allow protocols, HTTP and RDP protocols in NSG group. Okay, so we need NSG group also for zone redundant. Okay, so we need these 5 things. Okay, so now let's start the practical, guys. Okay, I hope you're able to understand these things. Okay, so now I'm open my portal. So first I need to go to create load balancer. So I click on load balancers. Okay, and click on add over there. Now I don't have any resource group right now, so I just create one resource group first. Okay, this is my you can call it public, or you can say that zone redundant. Okay, zone RG. Okay, so this is my this is the resource group I'm creating. Okay, now we need to give the name of my this. So I go for, this is the zone redundant public load balancer. Okay, so this is the short form I can give. Now I need to choose the region. So you can say that you need to understand this also, that very less regions support this zone redundant load balancer. Okay, so be sure that your region should be support. So I'm using East US. East US support this. Okay, so you can say that at the type of load balancer I'm getting public, and SKU I'm using standard over there. Because if I click on basic, so in basic they're not showing you anything like zone redundant. When I click on SKU standard, okay, so they told me that okay, we first need to give the IP address. This is my public IP. Okay, I give the name this public IP. Okay, and you can in the down availability zone, you can say that in that we found zone redundant. Okay, you can see that we have 3 data centers in that, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so I'm using over there zone redundant, so I need this. Okay, fine. If I choose basic, so they're not showing me this option. Okay, but if you click on standard, they gives you this option. Okay, so this option is available only in your standard. So you can say that they're asking you, it means you need to create a NSG group also. Okay, we can go for that. So now the simple click on I don't want any IPv6 right now, so click on tag. So I need to give the tag over there. This is known as my zone redundant. Okay, now click on next. It's going to review now. If everything is fine, it's running the validation. Validation passed. Now I'm going to create this load balancer now. Okay. Okay, so as you can see that the deployment is completed. It means my zone redundant load balancer is created. Now click on home. Okay, click on load balancers. So as you can see that, just click on refresh once. Refresh once. Refresh the portal once. Just wait, guys. Okay, so as you can see that the zone redundant public load balancer is created now. Okay, so I successfully created public load balancer. Okay, with zone redundant. Okay, and I create resource group also as well. Zone redundant resource group also I created. Okay, now I need to go to create one VNet, virtual network. So I click on virtual network. Click on add. Okay. Now I need to choose the same resource group which I already created, zone redundant. Okay, now I need to give the virtual name, VNet name. So I go for VNet 1. Okay, and I put this VNet in my East US location because I do everything in East US location right now. Okay, click on next. Address is automatically taken 10 series/16. Subnet is 10 series/24. Security is, you can say that firewall is disabled and BOSS protection is enabled. Tags, you need to give the name, and I hope you all know how to create the VNet, because so many times you can create VNets. Okay, so now running final validation pass, click on create. Okay, so now it's going to create my virtual network. You can see that as you can see that my deployment is completed now. Okay, click on this, click on home, click on virtual networks, sorry, it's gateway, virtual networks. So you can see that my virtual network is to refresh once. So as you can see that my VNet is created now. Okay, fine. So I create resource group, I create zone internet load public load balancer, and I able to create VNet. Now I'm going to create NSG groups. Okay, so where we can found over there NSG. So if you're not able to see NSG group over there, so what you can do, you just search over there NSG network security groups. Okay, click on that. So now click on add over there. Now I'm going to create one NSG. So I need to allow two protocols over there. Okay, so choose resource group. Resource group is the same thing which I already created. Okay, so I'm getting the group over there, NSG1. My group name is NSG1. Okay, and I put this in East US. Okay, click on. Okay, this is the NSG. Okay, next. So I'm going to create an NSG group first, and after that in this group I'm going to add my two protocols. Okay, HTTP and RDP. So HTTP port number is 80 and RDP port number is 3389. So I need to allow those protocols. Okay. Okay. So as you can see that the deployment is completed now. Okay, your deployment is completed. Click on home. Okay. Now click on NSG network security groups. So over there you can found one security group is created named NSG1. Okay, you can see that NSG1 group is created now. Okay, so now what I need to do, click on NSG1 group. Okay, over there we have the option inbound security rules. So I need to add two protocols, HTTP and HTTPS. Some protocols you can see that the VNet is already allowed in this, Azure load balancer is already allowed in this. That's why we're able to access those things. Okay, so click on add over there. You can see that it's like a firewall in Azure. Okay, so if you want to, if I deny something from an NSG group, so we are not able to access that particular resource or particular protocol. Okay. Okay, so as you can see that they asked me, so the resource is any. Okay, I tell that okay, any traffic comes to any destination, any port range. Okay, so any destination. Okay, so I need to allow my port number 80. Okay, over there, and I use TCP protocol over there. Okay, and the priority is by default, and the port name is I go for allow HTTP port 80. Okay, I choose this. Okay, that's it. That's okay. Okay, let's go for down. Maybe the spaces are not allowed. Port 80. Yes. Okay. So over there, I just mentioned over there allow HTTP port 80. Okay. So what I do, I tell that source any means any source means any IP address who comes on port number 80. We need to allow it. Any destination, any IP address port is 80 only. Okay, and the protocol I'm using is TCP. Action is allow. Okay, and the name of the this is allow HTTP port number. You can give any name. You can say that. Okay. Now click on add. So I add this rule now. So you can say that creating a security rule. So I'm going to add this rule. So I'm adding port number 80 also, and I'm going to add 3389 port numbers also. Okay, which is in RDP protocol port number. So I need to. So you can see that. See, the port is created. I click on refresh once. You can see that the port 80s are allowed. Okay. Now I click to add again, and now I'm going to add port number 3389. This is for RDP. Okay. Click on TCP. Okay. So I just tell over there. Allow RDP port 3389. Sorry, 3389. Okay, the same thing I can mention over there. Okay, and click on add now. So it's adding port 3389 also. Okay, so I'm allowing both the ports, port number 80 and 3389. Okay. So as you can see that the port number 3389 also allowed. Okay, fine. So That's it. So I am allowing both the protocols. Okay. Now I need to go to home. Okay. So my NSG group is also created. Now I'm going to create my virtual machines now. So click on virtual machines. Okay. So as you can see that we created a resource group. We already created public load balancer with zone is redundant. We already created VNet. Okay. We already created NSG group. Now I'm going to create three virtual machines which are working as a web servers. Okay. So I'm going to click on add. Okay. So now when you're going to create virtual machines, your NSG group is automatically created. So I don't want to create an NSG group new one. I need to give this, as you can see that, see in the source group, we need to choose zone redundant resource group. Okay, now I need to give the virtual machine name. So it's my Windows Server 1. Okay, and I can use East US. Okay, options over there I'm using availability zone. Okay, in zone I'm creating this virtual machine in zone 1. You can say that. Now it means I'm creating this virtual machine in my data center 1. You can say that. Okay, we are going to create virtual machines in different data centers now. Okay, so zone 1, this is a zone 1, you can say that. This is a data center 1, you can say that. Okay, right now I'm using 2016 server. Okay, now I need to give the username and password. Okay, now go down. We need to go for HTTP and RDP. Need to allow both the ports. Click on next. They're asking you the premium disks. Okay, I'm using the premium SSD right now. Go for networking. In networking, you can see that they're asking you for network security group. So click on advanced over there, and we already created one NRC group that is known as NSG1. So we need to give this group. Okay, because we already created the group NSG group. Okay, now this is the changes you need to go for that. Simply click on next now. Okay, in management we don't want anything. Click on off. Click on next. Click on next. You need to give the tag names if you want. It's not mandatory. Now it's checking the validation. If everything is fine, they're showing me create option. Okay, so now I'm going to create the virtual machine. Okay, it's still creating. And one thing I need to tell one thing more that I just forget the one thing. Okay, that remember also one thing that in one region, okay, in one Azure region we have multiple zones. In one Azure region, Azure has multiple zones also. Like imagine over there we have three zones. This is the zone 1. Okay, this is the zone 2. Okay, and imagine this is the zone 3 like this. Like this. Okay, so in zone 1 we have data center 1, in zone 2 we have data center 2, in zone 3 we have data center 3. Okay, so in zone 1 in data center 1 I place one VM, in zone 2 in data center 2 I place VM2, and in zone 3 in data center 3 I place in VM3, like this. So previously what happens in these two conditions, in load public load balancer and internal load balancer in basic mode, what we have only one zone. We can place all my VMs in one zone and we can do load balancing. Okay, but in that condition what we have, if I am using the standard one, zone redundant, so in that we have different zones. In one region we have different zones. In every zone we have one data center, so we can place one VM in that data center. Okay, so like in zone 1 we have DC1, in DC1 we can place one VM1. Now we have zone 2, and in that zone 2 we have one data center 2, and in that data center I am placing the VM2. So like this. So we can see that we have multiple zones. In that multiple zones we have multiple VMs. Okay, so we can load balancing between the zones, you can see that right now. Okay, fine. So you are able to understand this also. Now you can see that my virtual machine is created now. Okay, and this virtual machine is are put in my zone 1. Okay, so now I'm going to create another virtual machine now. Click on home again. Click on virtual machines. So as you can see that Windows Server 1 is created now. Okay, and it's in zone 1 right now. Click on add. Now I'm going to create virtual machine second, Windows Server 2. Okay, the same resource group I can using over there. This is the Windows Server 2. Okay, and go for East US over there again, choosing zone availability zone over there. Okay, and use now zone 2. Okay, so I'm going to add by virtue of this Windows Server 2 in zone 2 now. Okay, choose over there 2016 server. Okay, and I want to give the username and password. Okay, fine. Now I'll allow HTTP and RDP both the ports. Click on next. Click on next again. In NSG, what I need to do, I click on advanced. I need to give my NSG which I've already created, NSG1. Okay, NSG group. Click on next. I don't want any management services. Advanced tag. Need to give the tag name. Then for Windows. Okay, so running final validation. Validation passed. Click on create now. So now I'm going to create my Windows Server 2, which is available, which I put in zone 2. Okay. So as you can see that my Windows Server 2 virtual machine is successfully created. Now the same I going to create my third virtual machine as well. Click on add, and this virtual machine I save in my zone 3. Okay. This is the Windows Server 3. Okay. Using EastUS. Okay, I choose over there zone availability zone. Over there I can use 3 now. Okay, so Windows Server 1 is put in one zone, zone 1. Windows Server 2 is available in zone 2, and Windows Server 3 now available in zone 3. Okay, 2016 server I am using over there to give the username and password. Okay, I allow HTTP, RDP both. Next, premium SSD. Okay, now over there I can choose my NSG1 which I already created, NSG group. Click on next. I don't want any management options right now. Click on next. Give tag name. Roles. Next. Now the validation is running. Validation passed. Click on create. So now I'm going to create the virtual machine 3. Okay. Okay, so as you can see that my third virtual machine is already created now. Okay, so I just click on virtual machine. So you can see that all my virtual machines are created successfully. Okay, now the next step is I want to configure my load balancer. We can we create load balancer, but we're not still configured. Okay, so just click on this load balancer name ZRPLB. Okay, now over there we have the options. These four options you already know. So front end IP configuration. So it's already taking the public IP address. Okay, click on backend pool. So in backend pool I need to add all my virtual machines, all 3 virtual machines. Let's click on there, give the pool name. So go for pool 1. Okay, I have to give the network is VNet1. Okay, and I am going to add all my virtual machines one by one. Okay, second virtual machine I added, and third virtual machine I added. Okay, I hope you are able to know this because we already did this. Okay, at the time of when we can configure public load balancer. So click on add over there. Okay, so as you can see that all 3 virtual machines are added now. You can see that Windows Server 1 is running. Okay, IP address is 10.4, 100.5, 100.6. It's a private IP addresses. Okay, so it's already added now. Now go to health probe. Okay, I need to add the health probe also. So I add TCP. Okay, this is my probe 1. So as you already know that we can add TCP over there. Port number is 85 and 2. It's okay. Click on OK. Now it's updating. You can see that it's creating probe now. So it's created your probe also. You can say that. Okay. Now I need to go to load balancing rules. Click on that. Okay. I'm going to add load balancing rules. This is the rule 1. Okay. I'm using IPv4. The IP address of this load balancer is this because a public load balancer, so it got public IP address. I'm using TCP port number 80. Pool already added. Probe is already added over there. Okay. Session I'm using none. Okay. Idle time 4 minutes. You already know. Okay. TCP is set by default disabled. Okay, and floating IP is disabled. Okay, fine. So I already set all those things. Okay, just give me a minute, guys. Okay, guys. Sorry for disturbance. Okay, so we're creating rule 1. Okay, so it's rule 1. IP address is automatically taken, and TCP port number 80, backend port number 80. Okay, backend pool probe session idle timeout is already configured now. I just simply click on OK then. Okay, now it's going to adding the rule. Okay. Okay, so as you can see that the load balancer, the load balancing rules are successfully created now. Okay, so everything is set now. Now I'm going to open my virtual machines and make them as a web servers. Okay, so click on Windows Server 1. I'm going to click on connect through the help of RDP and downloading the files. Okay, this is for Windows Server 1. This is for Windows Server 2. Okay, and I'm downloading all the files into server 3. Okay, now I'm going to take the remote desktop connection, all my virtual machines. Okay, okay, like this I access other protocol, other virtual machines also. Okay. Okay, so I access my all three servers. You can say that with the help of RDP. So this is server 1, server 2, and server 3. All three servers I access successfully. Okay, now I'm going to install one by one all servers, web server, web IIS servers. Okay, or we can say that I configure the servers as a web servers. So just click on add rules over there. Okay, and click on next. Click on next. This is my server 1, IP address is 10.0.0.7. Click on next. Okay, and I can choose over there IIS. Okay, IIS. So I make these all three servers as web server. Okay. Okay, so I just click on next again. Now I enable automatic restart. Click on yes. Click on install. Okay, so it's going to install IIS on web server 1, means server 1. Okay, the same thing I can do in server 2 and server 3 as well. Okay, right now in server 2, click on add rules. So click on next. Click on next again. Now server 2, IP address 10.0.0.5. Okay, click on next again. Okay, I'm choosing over there the same services, IIS, add features. Click on next. Click on next. Click on next. Click on next again. Enable automatic restart. Click on yes and click on install. Do the same thing in server 3 as well. Okay. So click on add roles and features again. Next. Next. Windows Server 3, IP address 10.0.0.6. Choosing over there IIS, I'm sorry, the service name IIS, web server, add features. Click on next. Click on next again. Okay, click on next. Click on next, enable automatic restart. If they want, click on yes and install. Okay, so I'm going to install all web services on all three servers. Okay. Okay, so as you can see that all the servers in all my servers, IIS services are successfully installed. You can see that in server 1 successfully installed, server 2 is also installed, and server 3 also is successfully installed. Okay, now I'm going to modify the pages. Now click on server 1. Okay, I close this. Close the server manager also. Open File Explorer. So you already know that by default, when you install IIS server, by default one default page is automatically created. It's in C drive, inetpub, www-root. Over there we have the image, and I do edit this image. Okay, why am I editing this? Because in every server the page is same, so I'm not able to recognize where the request goes. So that's why I'm going to you can say that modify the page. So I'm able to recognize where the request goes. Okay. Okay, so as you can see that I modify all the pages in server 1. You can see that in web server 1 I modify web server 1 page. Okay, so it's known as it's web server 1. Okay, and in web server 2, sorry, it's a 3.1. So it's 3, I modify web server 3 over there. Okay, web server 3. Okay, so I close this now. I have to save this. Okay, in web server 2 as well, you can say in server 2, I can modify web server 2 page. Okay, so I just modify all the pages. Okay, so now we need to check now. So how we can check? I need to go to my load balancer. Okay, so so as of you know that this is the public load balancer. Just click on this. Okay, and this our public IP address is there. Okay, so I just copy this address and I need to open my web browser. Okay, and let's try to write this address and enter. Now see what happens. We can see that this way the request goes to web server 2 now. Okay, so now next 4 minutes the request remains in web server 2. If I access after 4 minutes, what happens? It switches to web server 3 or maybe web server 1. Or I go for web server 1, so after 4 minutes go to web server 3 like this. So it switch the request every 4 minutes all those web servers. Okay, so that is the way how to configure public load balancer with zone redundant. Okay, so I understand this image. Okay, so you need to understand this image that we are balancing our load, okay, with the different VMs which are available in different zones. Okay, fine. So that is known as we need to use zone redundant with public load balancer. Okay, so I hope you're able to understand this video. I hope you understand this video, understand this practical. Okay, please like the video, please share the video with your friends. If you have any doubt, anything, you have any questions, please comment me, okay, on this video. Thank you for watching, guys.